So going over the old train tracks, pretty good from a suspension standpoint. And we'll get our acceleration here. Hey everyone, it's Ben Hardy here, and in today's video we're going to be going over a 2022 Chevy Equinox. This one's in the LS trim level. First and foremost, so a huge shout out and thank you to the Larry Miller Chevy here in Murray for giving me some time with this Equinox. Check out their inventory and link below. Let's get into the video. So under the hood, we have a turbocharged 1.5 liter 4-cylinder that goes through a 6-speed automatic transmission. Fuel economy is 25 around town and then 30 on the highway, with power outputs being 170 horsepower and then 203 pound-feet of torque. Now let's go over the front end of the new Equinox. So first off, I really like this little indentation here on either side of the hood. I think it makes it look a whole lot better aesthetically when you look at it. And then coming down below, notice how we have the LED reflector lights here, and then notice how we have the orange accenting just up above it. And then I love how the grille kind of goes in between the kind of headlight area. I think that looks really cool as well. Got the Chevy bow tie there in the center. And then notice everything else is pretty dark here for the rest of the front end. But overall, I think it's actually a good looking SUV from a front end perspective. And you guys can see they kind of borrowed some stuff from the Trailblazer and Blazer with the styling here on the new Equinox. Now coming on the side here, we've got two 25mm tires wrapped around 17-inch wheels in the front and over in the rear as well. And then you can see the design here on the wheel itself. Actually looks really cool. Kind of reminds me of the wheel that you'd see on an off-road vehicle, so I'm all for it. Now, aside from that, there's a quick look at the front suspension. We have the Equinox badge here at the bottom, and then notice how we have the kind of like textured plastic here for the mirror covering. It actually contrasts everything. The door handles are body painted, so they don't match the mirror or anything. But notice we also have that plastic cladding here at the bottom with the little kind of like mud flap situation. But aside from that, here is your full side view on the Equinox. So here's our key fob for the Equinox. Notice we have the Chevy logo there on the back. You've got the unlock and the lock. And then as for the hatch, you do have to open up yourself on this LS package. You just have to slip your finger into this little hole right there, and then that will open it up, and now it can pop in the back. Now here's a rear cargo area with the Equinox. So first off, if we actually pick this up, you guys can see the storage space just underneath. Aside from that, storage space here is actually pretty good. Notice how you can throw down the seats if you need a little bit of extra storage on top of that. And that's everything for the rear, so yeah. Now finishing things up with the rear of the Equinox, this looks a little bit more familiar than the front end from a design perspective. You've got the signature lights here, which are on, they're not exactly the same as what's on other Chevy models, but they kind of do this arrow pointing thing to the center, and this has the same design. Got the Equinox badge right there, all-wheel drive badge as well, and yeah, that's all for the rear. Now here's a door panel in the back. Notice how you actually get this soft touch here. You're going to rest your arm, and I like how it contrasts the rest of the door panel. And then here are the seats. They have that same two-tone design. We've got the light cloth here in the center and then darker here on the outside, and then I love the texturing there on the center portion. And let's quickly pop in so you can see legroom here. Headroom as well, and then you guys can see we've got some vents here with some USBs as well. Got some cup holders with the armrest, and let's head to the front. Now here's the door panel at the front. So again, we've got that same soft touch here on this portion of the door panel. Here's a quick look at the mirror. All of our window controls here with our mirror adjustments, the door lock and unlock. And then here are the seats at the front with the light cloth and then the darker coloration. And then you guys can see very similar to what you have in the rear. I think they look great. Power adjustments are on the side of the seat. And then there is the pedals just down below. We've got that for the hood latch release, and then we've got the light controls right here. And then, yeah, there's where we'll look before we pop in. Now here's the steering wheel on the Equinox. I think this is pretty cool what they've done from a design perspective. So this is pretty basic material-wise, but they still made this portion kind of like perforated like what you'd have with leather. It's plastic, but I think it's cool because it'll actually help with getting a better grip. So yeah, that's cool design detail. Anyways, radio controls there on the back. We've got our cruise control here with the lane keep assist and the follow function. And then we have our controls here for the center stack as well. And then you guys can see voice command, phone controls, turn signal light stock, windshield wiper stock, and well, that's all for that. Now here is the center gauge cluster. We've got a few different menus we can scroll through here to get different bits of information on the Equinox. It's pretty easy to use. It doesn't have a a whole bunch of stuff like what you can have in like more loaded up models, but it gives you all the information you need basically. Now here's the center infotainment system. First off, we're going to pop it into reverse. We have a backup camera with trajectory lines. They do turn with the steering wheel, and resolution on the camera is really good. Now aside from that, as for the rest of the infotainment system, response time's good. It does come with Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. You guys know I'm a huge fan of Chevy's infotainment system. This is a smaller unit, but it's still easy to use, and then we've got analog controls just down below the system. So you've got the button to turn on or off the auto stop start. We've got that for the hazard lights, and then the climate controls right here. And then down here in this area, we've got some USBs, 12 volt, all that fun stuff, and then some extra storage. We've got the shifter for that 6-speed automatic. It does have a manual shift function there on the side, and then you can turn on or off the all-wheel drive if you want. We're going to keep it on because it's pretty cold and wintry right now. And we have our low range right there. Got a couple cup holders, parking brake, extra storage. Got the center console here, which has even more storage, fun. And then I like how they have the lighter colored material here on the dash as well, so it kind of like all ties in together. And then you can see the glove box situation right there. And then finishing things up, we I guess we don't get a sunglass holder. I thought we had a sunglass holder up top, but you guys can't really see this because it's dark, but there is no sunglass holder. As for the mirror though, it does have a manual dimmer, which is a nice little feature to have. So here's our window sticker for the Equinox LS. Feel free to freeze, well, there's too much glare for you guys to really be able to see too much. So we're not gonna do that. Anyways, this just has a couple options added. It's the LS convenience package is the main thing. Anyways, total MSRP $29,380. And wait for it. Let's take it out and see how it drives. Well, let's talk about visibility before we set off here in the Equinox. There's your visibility of the hood, both of the mirrors, the rest of the rear, and let's set off. So setting off here in the 2022 Chevy Equinox, let's first talk about the road noise and the ride quality. So from a road noise perspective, seems like super similar to the last generation Equinox. It doesn't seem like it's all that much different. It might be a little bit more refined, slightly. But it feels pretty much the same. Ride quality is very smooth. Definitely, it feels really nice. Like this is a great daily driver vehicle. We got lots of snow plowing happening today for obvious reasons. But yeah, I think it's actually really good from a ride quality perspective. So yeah, overall, it's a nice experience. It's comfortable. The seats I really like. So these seats I can tell. Yeah, they definitely are like most cloth seats where when it's cold, they're a little bit harder, but then when it's warm, they're a little bit softer. But these are really supportive and they're comfortable. Like I would be completely fine with being in this car for a very long road trip, just from a seat comfort perspective. I think that Chevy did a really good job. These are actually, especially for under $30,000, these are some of the nicest seats I've ever sat in. I really like them. They're just... yeah, it's the bolstering and everything. It just feels really good. It almost feels like it's sculpted for my body, which is weird. But yeah, that's kind of the initial driving. So going over the old train tracks, pretty good from a suspension standpoint. And we'll get our acceleration here. Yeah, that turbo 1.5 liter 4-cylinder actually does a good job of getting it up and moving it. It's really torquey. It feels good. It feels really good from an acceleration perspective. So yeah, I definitely think that that's a pretty big positive if you ask me. See how going over these bumps? Yeah, they did a really good job with the suspension on this, I think. It's really comfortable. So let's get into setting things up here with this new Equinox. First off, exterior wise, it seems like they did most of the aggressive style changes to the front end of this. But there are a lot of elements in the front that still look the same, but it seems like that's where it's changed the most. And then in terms of the rear, again, that looks the most similar to the previous generation, but I think it looks good overall. Interior wise, I like the route that Chevy's going. They're going a similar route to what Ford's done with their base model vehicles, where even though this doesn't necessarily have the nicest materials, they do cool designs and everything on those materials so that it at least feels more premium, at least feels nicer, even though it's not the nicer, more premium package. So I really appreciate that. I think Chevy did a good job, especially the seat design. I think the seats look really good. Instead of just being plain cloth seats, they got this, you know, the cool design in it. So I think they did a good job with that. And then from a driving perspective, it's great. It's a really good all-around daily driver SUV. Acceleration's more than adequate, and it's easy, it's comfortable to drive, it's a nice size. And so yeah, I really don't have anything bad to say about the Equinox. So yeah, under $30,000 SUV this size. Yeah, it seems like this segment's just growing by the day. So many vehicles in this segment. I'd have to say with the Equinox, there's nothing that I can really say other than it doesn't have blind spot monitoring. I don't see that, so I guess that'll dock it a little bit. But it does have lane keep assist, which is weird. It's kind of weird that they wouldn't do blind spot, but they do lane keep assist, I guess. So yeah, as an overall score, I'll actually give this an 8 out of 10. I really like it. I really like this new Equinox. I think that it's solid, and it's priced properly. Now that's going to sum things up for our video here on this 2022 Chevy Equinox. And again, a huge shout out and thank you to the Larry Miller Chevy here in Murray for giving me some time with this Equinox. Check out their inventory in the description down below. I'll see you guys.